Kia ora, tēnā koutou katoa. Wonderful to have everybody in the room here today, and I welcome you warmly to today's meeting, Tuesday the 31st of March 2026. I guess just before we start, it's probably important for us to consider, I mean, we've had some discussions at operations meeting and audit and risk meeting 2 weeks in a row, but you know, the fuel crisis and the price of fuel isn't getting any cheaper, or the pressure is not getting any less for families, but for us as a council delivering services as well. So I guess I'm just perhaps asking us all to consider what those impacts are for members of our community, and if we as elected members can demonstrate some leadership in that regard and consider travel, and I'm thinking maybe going forward, I don't know what it means for us, but you know, we've got under standing orders the ability to link by remote means for meetings if and when that might need to happen. So there's no decision around that, but I guess I'm just asking for us all to be mindful of the impacts of the current situation that we as New Zealanders are all facing. So with that, we will move on, and health and safety matters, we all know what to do should we need to exit this building and where our assembly points are. We did have an apology or a leave of absence, but it's lovely to have Pauline with us in the room today. So we've got no apologies to receive for today. I will read the affirmation and as we get ourselves considered for the items on our agenda today. So we as councillors will pledge that we will faithfully and impartially use our skills, wisdom and judgment throughout the discussions and deliberations ahead of us today, in order to make responsible and appropriate decisions for the benefit of Hāranui District at large. We commit individually and as council to the principles of integrity and respect, and to upholding the values that we believe distinguish and enrich our district. Thank you. Councillors, you've come prepared for today's agenda. Are there any conflicts of interest that may be should be declared ahead of this agenda? No, thank you. And we're live streaming and recording. Thank you. So, councillors, I just want to make sure that you've all received the late public excluded report. It was circulated to you on yesterday, but you had an early email to ask you to look for that on Friday from the following a conversation. I would like to resolve that we receive that report, but prior to doing that, can I just ask you, Hamish, why the report has come late to us? And as I said, Hamish phoned me on Friday, was it? And I made that decision that we should be receiving this report. So perhaps if you just give that descriptor of why it is a late report, and then I'm going to ask for a move in a second that we receive that report, but it will be a peer report. Thank you.
The report stems from a meeting I had with the landowners on Friday. So usually I could have waited for a month, but it seemed appropriate to get on with things.
Yeah, thank you. So you've all read the paper, councillors, and I'm hoping that you will support my decision to accept that as a late paper. It's not our normal business, but I'm looking for a mover and a seconder to do that. So I've got Fiona and Tom's hands up. Any discussion around that? Or the You're going to move that we accept that late report? Yes. Correct. There's some words around that. So all in agreement to that, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Any abstentions? That motion's carried. Thank you. So that report will be part of our public excluded papers later. I'll talk about the reasons for that later. So, councillors, we've got some minutes to work through. 24th of February. If I just do a quick page turn, those minutes starting on page 4. And just looking for accuracy at this stage. So page 4 and 5, page 6 and 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14. Can read those at home and correct for today. So is there any adjustments that need to be made to those minutes? That being the case, is someone willing to move that we receive those to true and accurate? Thank you, Steve. Do I have a seconder to Steve's? Thank you, Robbie. All in agreement that we receive those minutes to true and accurate? Please say aye. Aye. Against? That motion's carried. Thank you. There again, quick page turn, just the matters arising, page 4 and 5. Thanks, Tom.
You talked there about the civil defence emergency meeting, and you've written to the telecoms inspectors. Thank you very much. Just as a matter arising, I noticed that the police at Akaroa, and not the police, the defenders at Akaroa during the storm, they used Starlink a lot, and they attributed Starlink to being able to continually keep in contact and get emergency services via helicopter and what have you. So just making sure that we are also aware that Starlink is something that we in civil defence should be perhaps considering using for these events where our normal telecom providers aren't as good as they could be.
Yeah. So that the letter that has gone on behalf of under Middle Forum, can be civil defence emergency management. So, but yeah, that's a point maybe that could be raised certainly back at that meeting as well. But certainly from our own local, should be something that's on our radar as well. Yeah. Sorry.
NEMA running a rollout of Starlink through to the various parts of the National Emergency Management Response System. So they've done a bulk deal of some sort, but it's taken a very long time to come together. So I don't get our Starlink units yet, but we're meant to be getting them. They've been part of the budget for a long time.
I think I'll talk about those for a while,
Yeah.
hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But thanks, Tom. That's great. It's good to keep our eyes on all those things. Pauline.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Through the chair, I had asked in that public part of the meeting about an update to the Gresson Ave extension, and we have just accepted that there is a paper in PE. But I just wondered, in the public section of the meeting, is there any update on the work on the reserve for the land status, the licence to occupy?
Yeah, that's progressing.
Nothing formal or
No major hold ups at this stage.
right. Thank you.
Good things take time. Any other matters arising? Page 4 and 5, page 6 and 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Captured all the matters arising. Thank you. Rightio. So then our second set of minutes is the 3rd of March. Starting on page 15, just looking for accuracy to those minutes. It's just 2 pages, page 15 to 17. Thanks, Pauline.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, I really should have forwarded this to Graham earlier. Just on page 16, the last 2 paragraphs, Councillor Claire's name is spelt incorrectly in one of those.
It is. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. That's great. Okay, so with that minor typo, that will be corrected. Thank you. Someone willing to move that we accept that set of minutes for the 3rd of March? That's great. Do I have a seconder? Thanks, Tom. All in agreement that we receive those minutes as true and accurate, please say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Any abstentions? That motion's carried. Any matters arising from those minutes? Unlikely, thank you. So that takes us to our third set of minutes, which is the extraordinary meeting, which was scheduled for Tuesday, the 10th of March, starting on page 18 in your agenda pack. So looking for matters of accuracy, page 18, 19, and page 20. Any matters of accuracy in those set of minutes? No, that being the case, is someone willing to move that we receive those minutes as true and accurate? Thank you, Chris. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Dave. All in agreement that we receive those as true and accurate record, please say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Any abstentions? Motion's carried. Thank you. Any matters arising in those set of minutes, from those sets of minutes? Bobby.
Oh, just perhaps an update or progress.
I see the adverts in the local newsletters for the local, you may have seen it in the, I'll send it all of the local rags, so, and the date's 26th, is it, of April? Yeah. Okay, but-
It's in the-
Yeah, has everybody seen it? Everybody else seen it? Okay, thank you, it certainly is, so, yep, it's in progress, Robbie, so that's pleasing. Thank you, so, yep, that's the matters arising from those 10 minutes. Perfect. Okie dokie, okay, we can move on to today's agenda items. So in front of you is page 21, which is the known forward works program. Anything else that might be inserted into that? That's, you know, Hamish, that's
No,
pretty good.
no,
Thank you. And then we've got the Mayor's Diary, page 22, 23. So any questions on those pages? Thanks, Robbie.
Sorry, not a question, but do we perhaps move and second the last set of minutes and those ones together? What's the last set of minutes?
Did I do that? Yeah, we've done them. Right, Steve.
There'd be a public excluded
That's
seat.
for you, Robbie. No, you're fine. Good to keep us on track in case it's easy to miss these things. So we've got those pages 21 to 23. Any questions on any items? Someone would like to move then that we receive the known forward work program, plus the Mayor's Diary. Thank you, Pauline. Thank you, Chris. Scarlett. All in agreement to that, please say aye. Against? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. Thank you. And we've got no council working group status at the moment, so that's fine. So, councillors, that takes us to our first line of decision items. And we have on page 24 in front of us the line of credit to the Kaikoura Hirano Water Services Limited. Jason, you're going to speak to that. I guess this is something that helps enable, I guess, you know, for a short term, like a bridging situation, but perhaps if you can just give us a bit of a background to that, and we can consider that in the recommendation that's put in front of us. So thank you.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I'd like to think the report's pretty self-explanatory. The Kaikoura Hirano Water Services Limited, which was formally incorporated last Monday, will need a level of working capital before it can accede to the local government funding agency to provide the funding, and it's just suggested that working capital will be provided by council, and yeah, the recommendation is to provide that working capital up to 1.5 million. The terms of the agreement will be that they like to do with many of our internal activities or even community loans, that we charge an interest rate applicable to our, at the same level as our internal interest rate that we charge our activities that hold debt. So essentially the 100 basis points above our external interest rate, which is recalculated every quarter. The suggestion is that we give a period up to June 2027 for this loan to be repaid, at which stage the company will, assuming, will be a member of the local government funding agency and be able to source their own funding from that point. Just a point around the timing of that, the intention is that the company will be part of the LGFA on the 1st of July when it goes live, but there are a number of things we just have to go through, and we've been in regular contact with the local government funding agency on that matter. The key issue does centre around for them to be accepted by the LGFA board. There will be a need that there is a plan that meets the relevant covenants that the LGFA require within a default period of 5 years. Now, when we prepared our water service delivery plan, we needed another couple of years to get to that point without it having an effect on the water charges greater than what we allowed for in our own long-term plan. Now, despite the water service delivery plan being accepted by the Secretary of Local Government, they're ultimately not making the decision, the board of the LGFA are. So we need to be making sure that we do as much as we can to try and meet those covenants within that 5-year period. So there's a couple of steps we are still working on, but in the meantime, the company will need some cash to be able to function up until that point.
We've got some questions coming, so I'll go to Chris and then I'll go to Brett.
Thank you, Madam Chair, through the chair. Couple of things concerning, I speak against this, and that is the line balance arising. I go to page 24. I spent a long time reading this last night, cross-referencing also with the document you've also placed under us over the, where are we? Pardon me, bear with me, please, people, I do apologise. 36, significance and engagement. So I'm going to do a bit of cross-referencing discussion. I do care if I bore you, but it is important. The unsecured loan, there is other little points there that allow them to look for loaning inside or outside of our jurisdiction. So what would happen if they were to lend money outside of our jurisdiction? Remember, we don't have a say in that board after it's bounced, that they go and we're not secured, yet somebody else is. There is that possibility. What are we doing about it? If nothing, why not? I haven't. So we don't have a security over the 1.5. It's pretty clear what I've asked.
Yep. No, understand. I suppose I have mentioned in the report that we are, through the annual planning process, we will be collecting the revenue on behalf of the the company, and there'd be the intention that if the debt is not paid, that would just take it off the amount of it.
Actually, Madam Chair, I have to go on for a supplementary on that, because under the Legal Act of Trade, unless it's in your contract, the class of coercion and fund withholding is illegal in this country. So are we contracting that into our contract?
We can do if you desire, but
well,
I mean, there is
a legal requirement.
Can you just, to
Sorry,
ask the question, can I just show enable respect to get the answer responded, and then I'm happy to receive another question, but
Thank you very much, Madam.
please just have some clarity around that. So is there anything else that you need to say?
No,
Yeah.
we can build that in to create that security for ourselves. It is, agreement between, parties. we are the shareholders, so they are doing the work on our behalf.
However, sorry, Madam Chair, but yeah, I will comment against that statement. There is still a door open for that to occur. So we need to close that to ensure that our ratepayers' money is secure, because we do not have that in the present place the way it's written. I spent 5 hours reading, cross-reference it before I got this question to you. Okay, thank you. Irene, thank you.
Good, thank you. So are we able, we look to manage that? Have you got some
Yeah, I believe
direction
so.
there? Sorry, but-
Part of this is the directors have only just been appointed. They have, and the company's only just been incorporated, so there hasn't, we haven't had a chance to discuss this in any way, shape or form with the directors. So their first induction meeting's not until next Friday. So these are all things that we're putting on the table in front of them. On that first day.
So can I, Jason, I guess what has been asked is the security or lack of security, that will form part of that
Yes,
discussion.
no, absolutely.
So
And-
that we
and certainly the
tighten-
intention,
yeah.
and it's not as if they are completely separated from us.
Actually,
Well,
come on.
So can we just,
Sorry, Madam Chair.
no, if the directors do not pay, you've got the ability to sack the directors.
Yeah.
And you've got good cause if they don't pay us any funds that we provide to give them the working capital. The other option could be that we just pay the bills on behalf of the company until it does get acceded to the LGFA, and we'll just transfer that as part of the term debt.
Madam Chair, if there's another question that's relevant to this discussion that I need to ask, otherwise I lose my momentum on this.
I'll allow one more question.
Thank you. I wasn't expecting to put this question forward, but since the answer was that, then the question I ask is, will you put in the documentation that allows us either of those options inside the drafted document presented to council? Be it that we're able to withhold funds as part of the agreement. No coercion will be done, because that is illegal, so we have to put it into that comment. It's the law. I'll leave it there. Thank you, I see. Thank you,
I
Jason.
think what I'm taking from this discussion, Jason, and that what Councillor Carthy and I guess all councillors are looking for is to see as much, the utmost protection to this in this documentation, and I know that you will have that front and centre of your mind as you enter those discussions as well. So I think that's what I'm hearing, and I guess there'll be some support around that as well. So thank you for that, Jason. Brett.
I guess through the chair, to say Chris has probably stolen a bit of my thunder, because exactly what I was going to mention, the implied ability to withhold those funds. I'd like to see it formalised in number 9 within that line of credit agreement as well. So that's something we'd like to know as well.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
I guess what I'm hearing is just making sure the protection is as utmost as possible.
Yeah, it's
for our
both,
ratepayers.
rather than implied, be specific. Thanks, Chris. Thank you.
I think that CFO and the CEO will have that in hand to ensure the highest protections are in place. So, and I don't think anybody would step away from that. So I'm going to go to Pauline, and then I'll go to you, Vince, and then Tom. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just through the chair, just given that discussion, have we taken legal advice on this line of credit agreement, and if not, can we?
Yep, page 26, Battle Finley is reviewed.
Sorry, I must have missed that in my reading.
Yeah.
And so Battle Finley, just to clarify, they're comfortable with it as it was.
But yeah, we'll seek the inclusion of the ability to withhold funds and making sure that can be done legally.
Yes. Sorry, can someone direct me to where it mentions Battle Finley on page 26?
Page 26, number 14.
Oh, there it is, number 14. Thank you. I obviously missed that in my reading. Thank you.
And in my reading, I was kind of thinking the same thing as well. What responses, what protection in place. So I think that we're all circling around the same issue.
Thank
Vince
you.
and then Tom.
Just asking, there's 2 shareholders, why is
Kaikoura involved as well as a board, was providing some of the funding, because it's coming out of our debt line and our, I'm just trying to work out why it's all put on us.
Just one of convenience, we are the finance lead on this matter, on the development of the company. And we are providing 96% of the debt, or so it was just one of convenience, rather than trying to share. They give 50,000, we give 75,000. It was easier to do it in one agreement rather than ordering.
But I guess it comes back to Chris's initial question about putting this, is we need as much protection in the documentation to provide certainty for our ratepayers. And I think that's where most of the questions are kind of circling around. So Tom.
My question has been answered by Jason's answer then.
Okay, that's great, thank you.
Thank you.
Cool, so a few more hands going up, so Chris Scarlett maybe? No, Chris.
Just a question about the 1.5 million, where that figure has come from, because as you say, it hasn't actually come from the new company. It's basically been taken from our figures, I'm assuming, of what they will potentially need, so that could change.
Oh yeah, it could change it. It's just providing a facility that they could go up to, but if they've got their own funding, it's in their best interest to repay this, because we're deliberately making the interest cost higher than what they will end up getting charged by the local government funding agency. So
Two more hands have gone up, so happy with that, you've got that answered? Yeah, we'll just do it in bite-sized chunks, I think, but Robbie, Chris and Fiona, thank you, Robbie.
So it's not in the long-term plan. If this goes through, will it be put in the long-term plan this time?
Well, the intention will be that it would be repaid before the next long-term plan is start of the next long-term plan. So
Repayment date is June 27, June 2027. Yeah. Thanks, Robbie. Chris and then Fiona.
Thank you, through the chair. I have one question regarding the loan. Are we aware of where those funds will be going? Are these for salaries for the new directors?
that will be the salaries of the new directors and once the general manager is appointed, because none of that has been budgeted within council's operations. And there are other company specific costs, and like I said, we could continue just paying those costs as council and just putting it onto the debt and then just transferring the debt at that point. But it just gives them a little bit of autonomy to be able to do that themselves.
Supplementary, because that just leads me to another question which I wasn't intending, but I checked my notes so well. So I see they're allowed to draw down minimums of 100,000 at a time. That's probably the LGA's requirement, I mentioned, carrying through. Will they be documenting to us why those loans are at those stages and what their monies will be funded for, or is this just a sheer transaction where we will give them the money in accordance to whatever agreement we draft without detail?
Again, it is a facility. They've got their requirements. They're not working completely separately from us. You know, for all intents and purposes, I will be the CFO for the water company for the foreseeable future. So there won't be surprises coming up that they need cash to be able to meet their obligations.
And I guess if we think about that transitional time, 2-year transitional time, that all of the questions that have been raised will be, managed in that transactional period of 2 years. Is the intention, isn't it really? So as the company becomes set up and robust in its own functionality. I think Fiona and Tom. Yep, Fiona.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. actually, just a question occurs to me when they go for their own funding, potentially, are they limited to LGFA or can they go to other sources for funding? And if so, what security would they have?
They can, the intention is that they would predominantly use the local government funding agency, and we will have guarantees. It's not in this this agenda, it will be in our next council agenda about the guarantees that the company will require, or the LGFA will require from the shareholders. But those guarantees are specifically for the LGFA if they do secure.
Sorry.
Clear.
Claire, do you want to?
Previously signed documents which indicate they couldn't borrow other than the LGFA and an overdraft from one bank without the shareholders' permission.
Nice to know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Jason,
That answers my question.
I'll probably cut you off midway, but.
Quite succinctly.
Yeah, that's great.
Just a very quick question. So Jason, you just said that you were going to be the CFO for the foreseeable future. Is a contribution going to be made by the Wisco for your salary? And for the other staff that have equally been devoting huge amounts of time to this project?
Yes, that is in the form of the overheads that we currently are applying to Three Waters and the assistance that will be continued in the
Very quickly,
Robbie.
thank you, through the chair, thank you, Madam Mayor. We've talked to Claire's comments about there was an agreement in place, and I won't go into detail. Can we have that drafted into the new document as well, so it's clear for us to understand that there is an arrangement in place about not going off looking for other debt without the approval? If it's not already there, I haven't seen.
included in the shareholders agreement.
Yeah, it's already in that document, so it wouldn't be on the calendar.
Sorry, through the chair, which document were you referring to? It's already in place, just so I can keep it clear in my files.
I'll just check to make sure whether it's in the constitution. I think it's in the shareholders agreement. I'll just check that to make sure I'm getting the right advice. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll just give Claire a moment to get that information. So Claire, if I just leave you with that to scroll, perhaps we'll leave that question open and see if we can tidy off Robbie's question in this regard.
Yeah, I'm aware of starting off the new CCO and good tone and everything else, and I understand here. We're going to have to make some commitments to get things going. I don't have a problem with that. Looking at the officer's recommendation, in order to perhaps progress that, do we need to, if it had anything more about the Hamish and Jason confirming security or something like that, do we need to change any wording in there at all to make it a one that might be put forward?
Through you, Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that you could put a 0.3 there, which is that officers include at clause 9 in the agreement, the debt recovery, the ability to recover debt through withholding funds. Part of that resolution.
Yeah.
That seems to summarise
Yeah.
what people are looking for to me.
Yeah. It's, I mean, I think if we go back to Chris's initial question, is actually how can we make sure that we enable this company to be set up and able to perform the functions that we expect of them? And that is, potable water, continuing a great service, all of those things in layman's language. But making sure also there is the highest protection in place for our ratepayers, and I think that has come through the questioning. So thank you. Did someone else have their hand up? Are we done? Any other? Yeah.
Madge and Mayor, I'm just waiting on Claire's response.
Yeah,
that's
that's
all
right.
I do.
Yeah.
I am. That's all. Thank you.
Cool. Okay.
No fishing, yeah, no fishing, yeah. One for eyes of people, but they won't fishing.
Do you want, I mean, I'm happy to adjourn for 5 minutes, Claire, to give you the absolute time to give certainty on this one.
Okay, well, I found the first one that says that it's intended that they will borrow from the LGFA. And that the shareholders will take all steps necessary to help them to get.
It's not. It's not binding.
Okay, I am going to adjourn the meeting for 5 minutes to enable us to get that information before I look at the recommendation. Thank you. with the public places bylaw 2026. This operational policy and explanatory note has gone past the strategy and committee. And so, yeah, and sort of ironed out some wrinkles maybe there, and this is the final documentation that will come for this paper. But perhaps in the interest of some of the councillors that don't sit on that committee, that perhaps just give us a high level view of it and what its purpose will be, and then we can have a look at the recommendation on page 18. So thank you. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. So as we indicated, this went to strategy and policy a couple of weeks ago to have a discussion about it. So this is the approval of the operational policy and guidance that will accompany the public places bylaw. We had indicated in consultation that we would be developing operational policy and guidance that was on the bylaw. So I took that to the committee a couple of weeks ago. Some of the things that did get discussed at that point, I have written in my report, page 84. I'll just go through those. So minor amendment to the terminology in the operational policy and guidance. I did still have reference there to that's been removed to reflect the correct I also clarified that it will be a public facing document, so we will have it on our website. It will be available for customers and for officers on plain language to customers in plain language. The bylaws are not always plain language, so this will be. And we clarified in terms of compliance, we had a bit of a discussion around that. Generally speaking, we don't go around looking for issues, we generally respond to things and then we can use the appropriate level of compliance that we have available to us. The other thing I'm seeking is to add in an additional explanatory note. So explanatory notes are not actually part of the text of the bylaw, they're basically just there to make things a bit clearer. So that's just to clarify that under our permitted commercial activities, where we say we can consider commercial activities undertaken on the premises of council-owned facilities without needing a commercial activity licence. Just to clarify that most of our facilities are in fact on reserves, and this does not apply to reserves. So just to be clear for people at that point, so don't kind of go down a long thing trying to look for that information. So that's just to specify that, and we'd also have that information in the operational guidance that will come across. They will then be directed to our customer services team. So those were added in since the committee meeting a couple of weeks ago. The committee then endorsed it, so I'm now presenting it to council today to seek final approval. The delegation does sit with council rather than committee to approve this operational guidance that goes along.
Great, thanks, Steve. Look, I think what you've written in your paper and the pages, whatever it is, 88, I think. Yep, through to that will become the public facing document on the website. Gives a really good understanding of the process that we have gone through as a council to ensure that that is supportive to not only guidance for staff but actually the community that we serve as well. So thank you. Is there any questions in regard?
Sorry, it's me, come on. Stephanie, great work, thank you very much for this. I do have a question for you, and it's just relative to a question that was asked of me by my community. Does a retailer have the right to pressure another organisation who's presently running a daily, once a month unit on a reserve to non-trade in certain items? Or not allow them to sell certain bits and pieces, whether it be food stuff or other items?
Through the chair.
Through the chair.
So because it's on reserve, this wouldn't actually apply.
No.
But I presume they'd have the appropriate permit to be able.
They do. It's a
do
very
that.
active known market, and they've had issues with one particular retailer compressing their trading arrangements quite verbally. And I just need to know if there's I couldn't find any legislation or any bylaws that would prevent someone from, for one day, for a charity, particularly under the Charities Act, So I thought it was an unusual request from the retailer, and I needed steerance of
Can I just ask, I think this question is not relating to
Oh,
the
sorry,
paper,
my mistake.
because we're talking about, because what you're describing is an activity on a reserve,
Yeah,
which sits outside this. So if you've got a question,
I'll take
my
it.
suggestion would be that it should be taken, directed probably through Dan. And then that would go to the appropriate officer. I don't think, in my opinion, I think your question is out of context to this paper.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. So is there any other questions in regard to the paper? I think it's been through a thorough and robust process. I'm sure that Pauline will agree as chair of strategy and community. It's been tested there, and if that is the case and there's no further questions to clarify, I'm pretty comfortable. So, is that a question coming, or is
No, I was just going to move the office recommendation, and I'm having been through public places bylaw a time or two over the years, I think the addition of the forward-facing information is a great addition, so fully supported. Thank you.
Thank you. So we do have a mover for the recommendation on page 80 in your report. Happy to second that, Pauline?
Yes, I was, but I just do see councillor Burton's red pen in the air, and I'm not sure if that's a question or a.
No, it was only, I've got a typo, but I presume that the strategies teams work through all three items, so whether it should say both matters, it should say these matters perhaps. Bottom line, second bottom line.
Second bottom line, and we're
And the recommendation, there's 3 points there, and I presume that the strategy is okay with all of them.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
it
and
should
all
say
of
these
them.
matters, not both two.
Okay.
So I
So
think, councillor Burton, we can't actually, we can't comment on point number 1 because the delegation to consider and approve sits with council. So yeah, but I mean, yeah, we could change it to these matters were considered and endorsed by.
I have relative comfort in the fact that if any member of our public were looking at this paper and refer back to strategy, they would see that the same matters were discussed and resourced through council. So
Just to clarify, I had both matters, it was the third bullet point I didn't actually have in the strategy paper. I've added that in because council is the final approval.
Yeah, okay.
That's why.
All right.
They considered the first two.
Crikey, we're getting down to tin tacks now.
I'll sit back.
Okay. Yeah, so we've got a mover and a seconder, is
Yeah,
that
happy to
correct?
second,
Okay,
yeah.
so is there any further question to clarify this paper? Sorry, Vince.
I was just reading 93, the first dot about the cannot be located within 400 metres of any shop or any commercial activity. I'm just wondering how practical is that, when you look at the towns and it says it cannot be there, but like even in Hamner, is there any commercial activity happening with 400 metres? Because it's quite a long way.
So through the chair, so that has pulled through from the previous bylaw.
It's always been there.
We have quite a restrictive approach and it was considered appropriate to retain that. So there's still 400 metre and then just below that you'll see cannot be located and there's locations in Airlie, Cheviot, Colbert and that.
So that's where it's been there.
Thank you. Is that a question?
Just through the chair, I was just going to note that the final bullet point there says that the council officer has discretion to consider on a case-by-case basis an application for a mobile or travelling shop to operate within the location's restrictions. So that actually covers that that concern that councillor Daly raised.
Yeah, and I think because it's been brought forward, it's been tested over and over as well, so yeah, for the doability. Yeah, so we've got a mover and a seconder. Yeah, is that a
Very brief.
question?
Yeah, a clarification for other members on council, on the roadside grazing and fencing, there's some pretty high thresholds there and they aren't being achieved in the community. It's all about enforcement too, so they're not being enforced, so I was happy with that.
Cool. I mean, I think we had, through that journey to get to this paper, I
It's
think
just-
we had quite a thorough discussion around that, Dave.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's just not practical what's in there, but it's not gonna be enforced.
And I think Stephanie's comment at the start of this paper, it's not officers, they haven't got time, but it's not our way of working with our community to go and hunt for stuff, but it's providing
Guidelines
and
if there is a
guidelines
problem.
if there is an issue. So yeah, it's reflective rather than. Okay, so I think we've had some good questions, thank you, and we're going to move on a seconder, and if there's no further questions in this, I'm going to put that motion, all in agreement for the officer recommendation on page 80 in your report, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Any abstentions? That motion's carried. Thanks, Steph. This has been a bit of a long journey. I appreciate the work that you've put into this and thank you. I'm just going, are we good to go? Perfect.
It turns out I was mistaken and I was not mistaken at the same time. We did have it in the constitution. It was removed from the constitution on the advice of Biddlefin. So it is not in the constitution, so my bad, sorry.
Okay. So where does that leave us? Have you, yeah, okay, give us a question.
Madam Chair, I would like to report that is drafted into the new document alongside the non-coercion document, non-coercion paragraphs as well.
Madam Mayor, I was going to suggest that that it could be, and if it's in the agreement, we can also include it as part of the formal treasury policy that's adopted by the company as well, as we get into that point, that exactly that lending can only be through the local government funding agency, the shareholding councils if need be, one trading bank, and I think we've also got a clause there for trade creditors, obviously. I mean, yeah, it's about embraces approach to include in that agreement as well. So, but yeah, the limitations placed in the treasury policy with of those lending providers, unless there is written agreement from the shareholding councils to go outside that mix.
Through the chair, Madam Chair, so what you, just so I clearly understand, you're telling me there's another document that overrides the document that we've been presented that prepares us for security over our ratepayers funding?
No, the treasury policy it just provides restrictions and limits on what the directors can and can't do, or the company can and can't do. But I think the issue is around this line of finance or line of credit agreement, if we're included in that, given the potentially 15-month duration of that agreement, we can just make sure that it's included in there as well. Like I said, a bit of a belt and braces approach to make sure that there are restrictions placed on the directors and the company what lending providers they can source funds from.
So apologise through the chair and Madam Chair. So what you're telling me is you're going to put some restrictions on. Are we going to also note in what was previously indicated before our adjournment in regards to the note that we would put in a part of the contract that we could withhold funds if we see that will still retain?
Yes, yeah, no, absolutely. That is the first point.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. So I think notwithstanding the adjournment and the clarification of some of the documentation, there was a consideration for a third bullet point in the officer recommendation. And I think Graham might have some appropriate wording that could be included in that captures some of the discussion that we've just had. So can you just read out what a potential third bullet point might be
Madam Mayor, the wording from the CEO was that officers included clause 9 of the agreement, the ability to recover debt through withholding funds.
Could I also express that maybe withholding funds and designate where those funds are coming from as opposed to from general? Or do we are happy with the general open call like that? Personally, I'm uncomfortable.
Have you got any further guidance?
The funds that will be provided from council to the company is, yeah, predominantly the form of rates that we will strike. So it's just withholding. If we get into a position where we feel that the company not meet its requirements there, we'll just withhold, specifically withhold whatever the balance is at that point until the end of the financial year, including the default interest on top. But yeah, things would have to be going a bit askew if we're in that position anyway. So it is.
And I guess it's important for us all to be reminded of the it was in an agreement, or it's going to be regular ongoing meetings with both CEs and the board to ensure that there are, I mean, you've been listening to the discussion, Hamish, you understand the intent and the protection that councillors rightly want to put on behalf of their ratepayers. So there is an expectation that you will convey those messaging, through those regular dialogue that you and Will, in this instance, will be having with the directors as they move forward. Is that?
That's correct, Madam Mayor. And I mean, my preference is we don't specify what funds. I just want to be able to take it from any funds that are available for us to treat. So I don't think we need to specify where we will be taking those funds from.
Okay. So I guess that comes back to the wording of that third bullet point in the recommendation. Yeah.
Madam Chair, through the chair, to the CEO, I understand your statement. So just so I can get it in the room, can get it in our clarity. The funds you're talking about are those that are directly reflected to the WACO. Is that right? It's not ratepayers funds outside the WACO umbrella. Would that be my understanding of your statement?
Correct. Any funds that are going from this council to the WISCO, I want the ability to treat those funds if they're not, in order to repay the debt.
Thank you. I appreciate the clarity.
Great. So then I want to come back to the comfort that we've got on page 24 in your report, that we've got itemised number 1 and number 2 in the offer recommendation, but we're looking to provide some certainty around having a third bullet point, which Graham has, and we've had further clarity, I guess, from question and responses from our staff. So I'm looking to move that forward, if I may, and with the inclusion of wording that Graham has offered.
I think we need a 4th bullet point as well, which is to include a statement in here that during the term of this loan, that the WISCO will only use one bank, LGFA funding in one bank. I think that was the vibe that was coming from the room.
Does that satisfy some of the questions? Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's cool. I'm just going to probably lean on Graham a little bit, some wording for that 4th bullet point that's going to come in this recommendation, so that we've all got complete certainty about what we're doing. Thank you, Graham. Have you got some wording around that? I wrote that during the term of the loan, the WISCO will use only LGFA funding and one bank. So you've probably done it better than that.
Well, that's what I got to include the statement in the agreement that during the term of the loan, WISCO will only use LGFA funding in one bank
facility. One bank facility.
Yeah. Well, if you have multiple facility, one bank, I think. LGFA plus one other trading firm.
Okay, one other trading.
I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, we need the contributing shareholders as well, the shareholders councils.
Yeah, and the shareholder councils.
Oh.
Otherwise,
Otherwise
put
it's
ourselves under
pointless.
this agreement.
Sorry, what do you want
Okay.
added?
LGFA plus shareholder councils and one trading firm.
Okay, rightio. Have you got that, Graham?
Yes, yeah.
Does everybody understand that, or do you want to have that read out?
Please read it again.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna read it and then I've got a couple of questions coming, so thank you. Well, I'm not gonna read it, Graham, is it? Thanks, Graham. The fourth bullet point. Yeah.
To include a statement in the agreement that during the term of the loan, the Wesco will only use LGFA funding from the shareholding councils plus one other trading bank.
So that's what we were heading, so thank you. Now I've got a couple of hands before you.
Okay,
Are you good?
It's cleared up.
Thank you, Vince.
I just reading the report and bulletproof 9, in order to meet the ratio to meet the requirement with the default period of 5 years would be necessary for either increase the charges at a faster rate than previously consulted on, or have cost savings. That sounds all bad news to the user. You know, I'm just reading that and I'm thinking, So we'll sort of turn into custard a bit, isn't it? Costings and everything.
I think I mentioned that.
I'm just reading the funding for the defaults. You
Yes,
know,
yes,
it's gonna be a lot, have to put the charges up a lot to meet them. How much would that charge have to increase by to meet that?
Yeah, well, we're still working that through. We're completing the annual plan for the water company, and we need to project that out at least another 4 years after that before the LGFA will accept them as a member. So that is a requirement of the LGFA. It is slightly different to what the Secretary of Local Government agreed to when the Water Service Delivery Plan was adopted in September.
So when's that gonna be consulted on? Is it a supplementary question? You know, just I'm trying to get in my head where it's all going.
We're working on the annual plan at the moment.
Yeah, that'll be part of our annual plan coming up.
Well, the water company will have its own annual plan, but our component of that is making provision for rates within our annual plan, setting the rates accordingly, and then passing that, withholding any unpaid paid amounts to the water company.
Sounds like throwing a hot potato.
We're just working our way through this. So I've got Fiona and then Chris. Thank you, Fiona.
Yeah, I'm just looking for clarification on what we've been trying to do is we were harmonising our water and we've had that going. We've been trying to get the government to accept that or DIA to accept that. And we thought we had, is this what this is relating to, that we may have to increase them faster? So there's always been an element of doubt whether they said yes or no to that. And if they said no to that, then the prices were going to have to increase. So this isn't technically new. This is just we've had some assurance and now it's not so sure. Is that what you're referring to then?
The water service delivery plan was prepared August and adopted in September. We specifically made provisions for a longer transition period to meet the relevant covenants set by the local government funding agency. As we've had further discussion, but nothing was in concrete because the company can't be acceded to the LGFA until it's been approved by the LGFA board. The staff that are advising the board have advised us that we should be trying to do as much as we can to meet the 5-year default period to get transition to meeting the LGFA covenants. We haven't tested them saying, no, this is what we need. So yeah, there is a bit more work to be done there in that respect, and meetings with the LGFA last week and continue to have discussions with them over the next couple of months. But it is a decision of the LGFA board, not a decision of the Secretary of Local Government.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think I'm just going to get a response from the CE before I get to you, Chris.
I just note that we'd be having similar conversations whether we're an in-house business unit or a sort of standalone, or whatever. So these situations would still likely arise in one form or another.
Disagree with that comment at all. Thank you. Chris, and then we'll see if we can get to a point of looking at something.
Probably throw another grenade.
No, it's okay. I'm okay.
Through the chair, Madam Chair, could Graham please read back all the new noted items that we've put in as the recommendation 1, 2, 3 and 4 that we now have for us, so that I in the room can get clarity in our minds. Yes. Thank you.
So you've got no questions that you
That's
just
a
want to go-
request, it's a
Okay.
request, thank you.
So 1 and 2 are the same,
Yes,
correct? So we've got 3 and 4. So I'll get Graham to look at 3 and 4, and then I'm relatively keen. I think we've had a good bit of digging around on this one. I'm relatively keen to get this recommendation in front of us and able to be voted on. So Graham, if you could read please number 3.
Yes, Madam Mayor, number 3, that officers include at clause 9 of the agreement, the ability to recover debt through withholding of funds. And number 4, Madam Mayor, the council agrees to include a statement in the agreement that during the term of the loan, the Wisco will only use funding from the LGFA, from the shareholding councils, plus one other trading bank.
Madam Chair, can I ask for a little amendment to the secondary one, the holding funds for the and add the words for the duration of the length of the loans, plural, not singular. Thank you.
All righty. Look, I think, is there any further questions to clarify? I'm happy to take time. This is complex and we're getting into not so much uncharted territory, but uncharted territory. And the questions that we've had today are valid and recognised as important questions for us all to be asking. So thank you for the thought that you've all taken to bring those questions to the table. So if there is no further questions to clarify, I'm looking for a mover and a seconder of the recommendation inclusive of the 3 and 4 on page 24 in your agenda pack.
And Chair, I'm happy to put forward with the new changes that Graham has added.
Thank you. You're happy to move that recommendation?
I am, Madam Chair.
Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Fiona. Any discussion for or against that motion? I'm happy to put that motion. All in agreement to that, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Any abstentions? That motion's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Jason. Highly technical work and you're talking us through it well. So thank you. I do appreciate that. How about we break for morning tea, guys? And so we just, if we're back in the room at 10:55, so 10 minutes for morning tea. So we'll look at, we will adjourn and we'll come back to our significant and engagement policy. Thanks very much. Thank you for. Online, oh, going around the room, that's good. So we're now on page 32 in your agenda. Significance and engagement policy. Thank you, Claire. Yeah, I think I'll just leave you there talking on this one. Thank you.
No worries. You'll recall we had a workshop on the 3rd of March to talk about the policy, and a number of matters were raised, and these have been included. Draft policy attached. In particular, the changes have been the removal of the Three Waters networks from the list of strategic assets, the removal of the reference to zone committees, and a new section has been added relating to the role of community boards and some community committees, including the Youth Council.
Perfect. Thank you. Yep, so this document isn't a surprise to everybody. We've had a wee look at it before, and we've always had this significance and engagement policy. So councillors, is there any questions that you have in regard to that review? And let's have those questions now before we progress this paper. Thank you.
So there's going to be a gap when the new organisation starts where they won't have an engagement policy, will they? So there'll be an engagement, there'll be an area of a black hole sort of where the community, there'll be no engagement. I'm just, when this finishes, there's nothing to take it over and start, is there?
It is mandatory under the law that they have a significance and engagement policy of their own within 6 months of establishment. So that clock is now ticking on that one. We will probably draft them up something from to look at fairly forthwith.
It's still quite a long time, and an important time where there's going to be no engagement. They don't have to engage with the community at all.
Well, you'll remember, Vince, through the interview process, you know, the level of importance that was weighted on getting out and meeting the community, talking to the community. You know, I know this isn't quite in regard to what you're referring to, but there is a high level of expectation that engagement will happen with our community as soon as.
There's still a gap.
There are a couple of things that are all different. One is that some of the mandatory consultations are with the shareholders rather than with the community. But this council has indicated an expectation that there will be engagement with the community at various times. But it won't be like it is now. It's not like, you know, the long-term plan that you go to the community at the moment. This will be something they can go to the community, but it's not in the legislation, but we can ask them to.
And I'll come back to the, I place a lot of weight on the discussions that the two CEs will be having, that at the importance of maintaining or not maintaining this, but actually having that early engagement and then maintaining that to the best of their ability to do so. So I expect that to happen, and I guess that we'll take that to those discussions.
Yeah, and in fact, Madam Mayor, I mean, the whole council expects that to happen. That's why you put it in your statement of expectations.
100%, yeah, 100%.
But reading the act, that doesn't stack up, because the first thing in the act, the new act that they got, was that they don't have to do anything we say. That was the first in the preamble on the front of the act that said that. And, you know, I'm worried because going back to 25, where they said the increase in water services had to be at a faster rate than previously consulted on. So in that first 6 months might be when they have to work all that out, and then they're not going to actually be consulting with the community. You know, I think there's some big decisions made in the future of the water schemes. I'm just asking.
Are you satisfied with the, do you want to respond to that?
Look, Madam Mayor, you don't need a significance engagement policy to go out and engage with the community.
Yeah. It would be in the best interest outside of the policy statement to actually go and have a yarn, wouldn't it?
Yep.
I would have thought. Yeah. And I would expect that when we have our first opportunity for engaging ourselves, that we will be highlighting that as the
value that our community places on them, and the importance that our community places on that. Happy with that, Vince? I'm gonna move on. Thank you. Chris?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through the chair. Financial implications, page 34. Are there any future budget implications? Council will continue to incur costs when engaged with affected parties in accordance with the policy. Could I get a little bit of verbal clarity on that as to where that would lie and how that would affect the council's bottom dollar or financials?
This council engages with its community frequently about a whole range of matters, and those budget items are in the respective budgets for those activities that are related. So, for example, there'll be a budget for consulting on long-term plan that will be included with the costs of improving the long-term plan.
Thank you.
Happy with that, Chris? We'll move on.
There's just clarity on the statement so the room understands. Yes.
Yeah, good on you. Thank you, Tom.
Two very quick points. On page 34, the alignment with council strategy, and you've got the council values of respect, give it, get it, integrity, do what's right, and commitment, be in good norm. I love those values. I'm not sure that I've ever seen them before.
Yeah, that's part of our council strategy, I think. Yep. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
and I'll-
Yeah, those words were developed as our strategy. I don't know.
They're actually developed as part of a staff strategy and then
Yeah.
council adopted them at a later date.
Yeah, so those, yeah. Thanks, Tom.
And the other question supplementary was, council has not yet engaged with Mana Whenua about the draft policy. I wondered if and when we were. And that's on page 35.
Yeah. I'm not aware of anything specifically planned at this time. I guess the other, just, and it's probably you're maybe seeking some clarification on formal, but informally, you know, the Runanga, particularly strong relationship with Ngāti Kuri have, excuse me, you know, they've been not part of the discussion, but they've been part of the dialogue, I guess, going forward. And I know that Hamish and I have another Zoom meeting with Harriata tomorrow. So, you know, certainly, you know, that can be a discussion point, you know, so, yeah. There is an understanding there, perhaps, if that's, I can count in that way. Chris?
Through the chair, Madam Chair, in continuance about the Ngāti Whenua, Mana Whenua, I apologise to anybody who's offended by my mispronunciation. The question I have is, what's our legal responsibility with Mana Whenua in this document? If there's any, what is it? If there isn't, could you clarify? Thank you.
So if we're talking about our legal responsibilities under the Local Government Act,
Clarify whether the LGA reflects over top of this document. If it does, then that would be the question. If it doesn't, then outside of that as a standard doc.
it's a requirement under the LGA that we have this policy, am I correct, Beckley?
Yes, this document is mandatory.
So it's a mandatory document under the LGA. I can't recall the specific provisions in the LGA. Regarding, it's our position that we always consider Mana Whenua's position when we provide you a report.
Supplementary. If we are going to give Mana Whenua the respect that we duly need to, does it have a fiscal implication to this council? Is it going to cost us money? And do we see that being an issue going forward?
I would say that engaging with anybody has some fiscal implications. I mean, this council has recently intended to go into such.
Can I clarify my statement through the chair? I'll ask again, if by engaging with Mana Whenua in the course of this business and ongoing business with the water, is it going to cost us as a council financially?
Sorry, this paper is to do with the long-term plan.
I know it is, but we also know that this is going to come back on their long-term plan with regards to cross-referencing, because we are doing water with these guys up in Kaikoura. And I'm just concerned if this, I'm just asking the question, is there a financial implication across the 3 or 2 points that's going to cost council? Other than the obvious stuff, you know, liaisons and things like that.
When we get to the long-term plan, this council will no longer be managing the water supplies. So that aspect of engaging with Maori would be the responsibility of the WISCO. In terms of does it cost, the answer is it always costs money to engage, but often you don't see the cost because it's staff time.
Just so I can clarify, so once the long-term plan, as you pointed out clearly, through the chair, this is, by the way, clearly is that, just so I understand, is that we lose any responsibility to Mana Whenua over water issues, that then becomes a debit or an issue with the new WISCO, not with us.
I might be barking up the wrong tree here, and I'm happy to be corrected, but I think it's important that we clarify what we're talking about is the infrastructure that delivers the water, pipes in the ground, pumps,
Correct.
sheds, whatever,
It's all we own.
as opposed to water per se.
Water supply, I apologise, Madam Mayor, I'll alter my question to the water supply and the water supply and assets as opposed to the water.
Yeah, so what we're talking about is the infrastructure.
Yeah.
The pipe, we're not like the pumps, the sheds, the stuff that gets water from source to delivery. That's what the in essence, that's the functionality of the WISCO, is to provide a 30-year infrastructure plan for pipe upgrade or whatever, as opposed to water.
So through the chair, my understanding is what you've said is that, as we know, that the WISCO is about delivery, about asset, not the water itself, but actually the delivery, the pipes and the machinery to do it. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Am I correct, just to be very clear?
Yep, in terms of the bodies of water are significant for Mana Whenua. That bodies of water affect all sorts of council activities, I mean, our spatial plans and all sorts of stuff. So it's not that we have nothing to do with water in the future, but it's about, as you say, the delivery of water.
Okay, is everybody comfortable with that?
Thank you.
Good on you, thank you. Is there any other questions in this regard? So we're talking about significant engagement policy and some proposed changes around that. This is the first time you've seen this style of this document, so I'm making an assumption that there is, your questions have been explored and you're ready to consider the recommendation. So I saw that hand flick up, Chris.
Sorry,
Is
just.
that a flick up and flick down? Or
It's an art. Sorry. I don't make any apology. I noticed referred through here, particularly under backgrounds, number 8, a referral under section 76, clause 7 of the Local Government Body Act 2002. Now, we trailing through the LGA just to try and clarify. And you excuse my stupidity, I obviously can't find it, and I'm still I still keep struggling a little trying to find clause 7. Someone could help me out with that, I think. And it's under decision making. There's only 6 clauses in there. I was wondering what the 7th was, or is it a typo or something.
What page are you on there, Chris?
That's page 33, impact infestation, section number 8. It's took quite regularly, and also 76AA and the lights, which I traced down okay. I was just confused as to what that clause actually represents. It's under decision making in the LGA. If you go into the LGA, it's pretty quick to find. 2002.
All right. They will be.
And that's all it is.
Could be dated.
can find so that's 76 AA, you're quite correct there.
No, AA is fine, we know where that is. This is in section 8, page 33, number 8, under section 76, bracket 7, close bracket of the local government body. Salt with the amending significance amendment policy to reflect establishment of water organisations.
76 AA is what it should be there.
Oh, so that's a typing error, is
Yeah.
it? Okay, thank you.
I don't know, chocolate fish.
There is reference, again, I might add to the consultant, that there is reference to it also somewhere else in there as well, so I'll just clear it. No. Yep, 76 AA is easy to find.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Good
Appreciate
idea.
that.
Okay, so with the exploratory questions and the answers that we've received from our staff, is there a willingness from councillors to look at the recommendation on page 32 of your report? Someone willing to move that? Thank you, Tom. Do I have a seconder for Tom? Thank you, Chris Scarlett. If there is no further questions, is there anybody wanting to speak for or against? That being the case, I'll put that motion, all in agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. Thanks very much. Good on you, Claire. Appreciate that. Okay, councillors, we go to page 47 in your agenda pack, and welcome Graham. Graham to the table, and this is looking to appoint a couple of councillors along with other representatives of the Sound Block Working Group. I've had a couple of discussions with councillors that are pretty keen to be part of that, and I'll name those early so that it just puts it on the table, and then we'll have some further discussions around that. But Graham, this is looking to progress the freehold land known as the Queen Mary Hospital site, and that in itself is a good thing. You know, this is a long held dream of this council, to, you know, produce something that's community, almost a legacy project for our community. And I think that's the eyes that we need to view that with, because of the importance of that parcel of land in Springs. So Graham, perhaps if you could take us through the report, anything more that you'd like to add, and perhaps Tom and Bruce, you indicate your keenness to be part of that, but I'm happy to have an open discussion as well. Thank you.
You've said most of it actually. Yeah, just to recap, the land was purchased some time ago now. We put together and we presented that to council earlier in the tenure, if you like, a very draft high-level concept plan. It's time for us now to move that into the next steps of that. As part of our commitment with Ngāti Kuri, we made a commitment that we would form a working group that would be focusing on the development with Ngāti Kuri and clearly ourselves. And so that's where we find ourselves today, wanting to put that group together, and with the long-term role being that group will help inform and guide some of the decision making as we go forward.
Great, thanks, Graham. Take some questions from the floor in regards to the paper. So Fiona.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just clarification on the type of work that we're looking for. Is it concept plans for the use of the grounds, but also the future development of the commercial area?
Yes, that's involved. So if you look at that whole area, it's a mix of commercial and residential, and potentially residential but commercial, and also, you know, open spaces.
Yes.
So that's it. So it will involve that whole piece of land.
Yes, I think because I think that comes in with some of the expertise in it as well, if we're working together. And as a reminder, I think in our initial agreement was, that we work together, we form a working group, and if we couldn't reach agreement, there was the potential, couldn't find a way forward. The end result would be that, Otahu had the opportunity to take the land back for sunk costs. I mean, so it's quite an important role, isn't it? Working together with this working group,
Yeah,
that we find a way forward together that everybody's happy with.
oh, absolutely, yeah, and that's part of the role of the working group, is to make sure that Ngāti Kuri are fully informed, and Ngāi probably are fully informed as we go along the process of development, so that, you know, there's no point in us getting to the end and saying, what do you think? Because that doesn't work out well. If we're working through the process together and everybody's on the same page, then when we get to the time of needing to sign something off, which needs to come back to here, then we've got all the parties around the table in a positive manner.
And it's input from both sides, it's not just informing, it's so that it shapes something that has longevity and strength.
And I guess, like any working group, they have, I'd say only, but I mean it with the greatest respect, they have the mandate to tease out ideas, to consider, to conceptualise, but any of the outcomes of that working group would always come back to council as the governance body around that. So this is a smaller, more, I guess, a group of people that's able to pivot better is better than having a large group of people, and a couple of councillors is just to sort of tease out those ideas, I guess.
Absolutely.
In a conceptual manner. Yeah. Any other questions? Does it make sense? Sorry, Chris. And Robbie. Sorry, Robbie.
Chair, have we talked to Kaikoura in regards, and have they elected these representatives at this point?
When you're saying Kaikoura, you're meaning Ngāti Kuri?
Yeah.
Yep. Yes is the answer to the question, and they have appointed one, and they were deliberating on who their second person would be.
Supplementary, are we allowed to know who that is at this point in time, or is it going to be withheld?
I'm just thinking that I don't have a problem with saying, I'm just thinking putting that in the public domain.
Yeah.
Where it hasn't been official.
It's really just-
Madam Mayor, I don't know whether that comment's been ratified or whether it's required to be ratified, so I'd be reluctant to
Yeah, look, I think in the fairness of, you know, developing a relationship, we want, you know, all people to come together that actually come in on an equal footing, if you like, to tease out some conceptual thinking about where to, how, what that might happen. You know, that's the manner of the group, really. Like any, I mean, every one of you as councillors are probably on different little groups from time to time, and your job is actually to just tease out some thoughtful discussions. So I'm confident that can happen here. And it's another, I think it's another really important opportunity to further develop and further endorse our relationship with Ngāti Kuri particularly. You know, this is an important part of Whanganui. You know, back in Anzac Day this year when we opened that, is a really important part of our ongoing strengthening relationship, and you know, a couple of people sitting in partnership with in a working group like this is a further endorsement of that, and I just think it's a really good, strong step forward for us to be taking. So, any other questions, guys? Thanks. Oh, sorry, Robbie.
Last question.
Yeah.
Presumably, well, as I take it, that the makeup of this group was confirmed as part of back in the original purchasing agreement. I can just see ratepayers questioning perhaps the weighting of the group, given that it's their money that's purchased the property. But if that's something that's been in the agreement since day one, then except that's what we have to work with. But I do have a level of uneasiness about
Are you suggesting that it should be a different weighting, like 3-1, or what do you?
Yeah, I just
Is that-
how that must have come back in the original, it was determined. So if that was what we determined back then that's what we're working with, but I guess that's what it is if that's what we determined.
Yeah, it was determined,
back
so-
in the day, then
yeah.
that's what we're working with,
Yes.
so.
And I just think, oh, okay. Tell us what you're thinking.
So, Madam Mayor, the heads of agreement doesn't determine the makeup of the group, it simply says that a working group shall be formed. In that working group, HTC and Te Runanga o Whakaaro shall establish a working group to discuss and progress all matters related to land, Whanganui site and reserve land opportunities. So, and then as Councillor Harris said, there's a dispute resolution process there. So it's not predetermined but we have had some discussions with Kaikoura, and it was always, in our view, going to be an equal weighting of people. This doesn't preclude us from doing whatever we want, but what it does mean is that we need to understand perspective, the views of the Runanga, who, remember, agreed to novate their purchase agreement in order to allow us to purchase the land. And so this is part of a heads of agreement to do so.
Yes, I understand, and through the chair, there's also sort of, we'll call it buyback agreement or whatever, there's conditions that land can go back the other way, so.
Yeah, that's what Fiona's talking about.
Yeah.
But this was agreed by the council
Yeah.
when the council agreed to the heads of agreement.
I think this is a great opportunity to go on an equal partnership, people in a working group that actually will always come back to this council to progress the thinking of the working group. I just think it makes really good sense to me. Ask Chris.
I'm sorry, just clarification, what powers does the working group have?
Maybe Graham, you need to answer that.
Very, very limited is the answer to the question. Any plans would need to be signed off in here before anything happens. But as part of the agreement that Hamish was referring to, there are some steps in there in terms of, say, well, how does that relationship work? How the approval process for things, and well, I hope we don't get to that stage. I think a process for mitigating if there's issues that arise. But ultimately, the decisions on what we do and how we have come back to this day.
They have no delegations to do.
Yes, which I sort of think answers Robbie's questions. The other question, sorry, I'll just supplementary one, it does just clarification. It talks of a council officer being part of that group. I'm assuming that's you, Graham, is it?
Any other questions?
Comment, Madam Mayor. I'm quite happy with both names, although I had considered the possibility of Chris Carthy, just because of his connections and his knowledge on getting things done might also be a suitable candidate to be on the working group, if he was interested.
I don't know what, yeah, I'll receive that comment, thank you.
I've got just one question on the delegations, because just reading that, this working group is full delegations. So they're not going to come back to council with their plan. How does it work? It's got to review the delegate advice of council as the body authorised to make a decision on this matter. So is this group going to be the say-all and everything of the plan? I'm just asking, what is the delegation? Because I look on page 48, it's got delegations. Why is it the council is the body authorised? So it's not that group, it's going to be the council that finally signs it off. That's all I'm just checking. That's all I'm asking.
The delegation, as mentioned here, is the delegation to make a decision on this paper. So council hasn't delegated authority to anybody else to make a decision on this paper. So you're the body.
Yeah, I'm just checking that it wasn't to be.
No, and I think you're right, I think you're right to clarify that, you know, that any thoughts that come from this working group needs to come back to here, and I would have thought maybe it might be something like a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan to say this might happen then and this might happen sometime later, you know, so we get that sort of master plan thinking. I don't know, it'll just be part of that early discussion.
Yeah.
So we've had a discussion, I mean, I think Brent and Tom have indicated they want this to be in, but we've got, you know, talk about Chris as well. I don't know, can you maybe just give councillors, do we know how often, how long, you know, do we have any sort of indication of what the time commitment might be for councillors?
When I was working through this, I was trying to keep it as minimal as possible, given the workloads. So I was saying at a maximum of 4 meetings a year, right? We would want one of those meetings in a year to be in Kaikoura, one of them in Hammer Springs, obviously, and the others, there's no reason why we can't be doing that by Zoom, or electronically. But you know, I understand the workloads on the councillors now. I don't want them to be doing a whole lot more stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. I think we're looking for 2 people. Oh, sorry, Robbie. Sorry.
Yeah, just sort of thinking around the information flows. The whole project, it's a big project, and there's elements of it which the people that live there can have a lot of thoughts about, and there's elements of it that the people of the Wairoa have thoughts about. And then there's the Runanga, and then there's this group. Are those inputs channeling through this group, or are all of those groups channeling through council? Just think where the input goes, you know, exactly sort.
Look, I think in the first instance, probably I'm going to be the main conduit for those information flows. I'm not expecting, you know, we will need to have, you know, a number of meetings with different parties, and it's not realistic to expect that working group to be at all of those meetings. It's just not feasible, and I hate to be out of heat, which schedule that anyway. So, you know, I'll be the one making those meetings, using the councillors when that is appropriate, and for them as well. But yeah, not expecting this group to take the full lead in any of that at all.
Focal points and take initiative come up here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I guess the think tank of people will be opportunity to talk with that group, because they've got an actual interest, or, you know, I mean, that would be part of that small group kind of thinking about those issues and making sure we consult or engage or consider, you know.
It's a big project.
Yeah, that's right. Pauline.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, I'll be fully supportive of those names that have been put forward. I think all 2 or 3 of those councillors, if you wish, if you know, would be quite capable. I guess I'm still a little bit concerned about the weighting of Westwood, and I know that council still will hold the overall delegation, and I absolutely agree that we definitely need a Westwood councillor there, but this is a project that is really impactful for the whole district. So I still have concerns that, you know, the 3 names that are in front of us are very clearly Westwood, and I just wonder, do we need someone more south? Oh, Southwood. You've got 2 Westwood and 1 south. Sorry, Brett, I was just like, oh, you were sorry. I think because I was talking about, because we were talking about potentially putting Chris in, I was like, oh, what are we doing there? But no, that's fine. My concerns are allayed then.
Yeah.
Absolutely allayed.
Yeah. So we're looking, I mean,
I was sorry, I was confused when we were tossing in Chris's name as well.
France, aren't you?
Yeah, well, my head might be.
What it would be, it's important for us to consider I know we've got 3 good names coming forward, but 2 actually gives us equal representation with the Runanga. And rather than, you know, I mean, we could easily have 3 of our names come forward, but actually that might mean we could go back to the Runanga. So I think it's important that we go in on an even footing. So I would stick to the proposal of getting 2 names come forward. So I'm not sure about any, perhaps if any of the three councillor names that have come forward, if you want to perhaps tell us why. Yeah. And then, and I'm really keen to get two names, you know, I mean, one of you might just naturally just not, you know, just have a bit of say, I'm okay for that at the moment, and I know that I'll still be in the system. So, is that good, giving you some guidance, guys? Yep. Anybody want to say anything?
Yeah.
Thanks, Brett.
Well, I'm very keen to be involved. I see the significance of potentially what's up there, the importance of it being financially responsible through any development, through any operation that might exist there afterwards, and how that returns to us. I don't see any skill set that I lack in relation to what it is that the delegation is tasked with. In so much as that we're conceptualising ideas, coming up with things to bring back here. So I don't see that I'm lacking in anything that would be able to contribute in a meaningful way to that. So yeah, very excited and would certainly pleased to have my name in the mix at least.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brett.
Thank you.
Thank you for nominating me. I'd love to do it, and I think the site is incredibly important to us, and I walk through that site virtually every day. I think the local representation needs to be on there, and where I'm not chosen, I would urge the council to think about either a councillor who has links with Hammer Springs, i.e. Dave as well, or at very least a community board observer be on there to make sure that the interests of the villagers and the community are included. I think also, you know, it's even in the minutes of the paper here today, my feelings on participation and communication with Mary, and it's very, very high on my list of importance, and I've spoken on that numerous times. So I think that I would fit that bill as well. It would align with my beliefs and thoughts. So I commend myself to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
I thought you would have heard enough of me today already. Madam Chair, thank you. Look, I developed for a job in construction all over New Zealand. I've reconfigured 9 Mariah in the Greater Northern Auckland region as the senior consultant with WSP, up to a tune of nearly $1 billion worth of assets. This is something that I do for a job every day, and I understand the cultural development requirement that is in part of what is needed. I'm also very aware of the social and also the implications for the greater Hurunui district projects like this. There's a cash spill out from a project done well and efficiently. Most importantly, when you do a development like this, particularly when you're dealing with renungas, and believe me, I've dealt with some pretty tricky ones. You have to look at where you want to be, not where you're going. And for me, if I was to be involved, I'd always be asking those questions. Where do we want to be with this, not where are we going? And I've heard lots of people talk on this. It is our site. I go up there quite a bit. I don't live up there. I think Tom's right. It's a beautiful little spot. Yeah, I'm known to get things done, and I do break eggs, so I do apologise in advance, but that's just how I roll. It's not up to me, it's up to the people in the room.
Yep, that's cool. Thank you. David, you had a comment?
Yeah, comment. I don't think it's a problem. We've got 3 on there, and put an extra one there if I feel I needed to. I think this dam project's important. I don't want it to be executive led, so I do like mind mapping. So I do see some controls and balances, and I go through the site like Tom does on a regular basis. And I look at the reserve site, and I think what the council was given a problem, and we haven't been able to sort it out because we just don't have enough money. So the more, if we've got 3 strong people, and I really think Tom's a connect with the community, so he's a given. I get it that we need someone outside, and even though I might get sick of listening to Chris, he might have a challenging person that will ask those bungle questions that I probably would ask. So I don't think it's a problem having three, and our other partners can put a third person on if they want to. So I think it's a good part of mind mapping. It's pretty important we get this one right, and it's pretty important we find other sources of money to fund it, because we can't fund it. So.
I think it's important for everybody to understand that this small group is a think tank. And each one of you as a councillor sitting around this table will have the opportunity to debate the merits of the think tank when it comes to this as a formal paper. So please don't get sideswayed by the fact that you won't have input. You will have a chance, and if one councillor, I prefer to be fair, when Chris, you will have every opportunity to answer those questions and to debate that when a formal paper comes around this table here. So I think that we should stick to two. It is much easier to get a smaller group of people together than it is a wider group of people, because everybody's diary is incredibly busy, and you've heard the input expectation from Graham, and I do consider that we need to have two people come to be in this working group. No disrespect to any councillors put their name forward. I think that having a Hammer Springs resident is a really good idea, but I also think that to give balance to the community, having a South Ward representative also gives some balance to that, and I really, regardless, I want every one of you to consider and challenge the thinking of this working group when it comes to a formal paper. So I'm giving you some direction there, and I would ask councillors to see if you can, if there is a willingness to support that through a recommendation. Thank you, Pauline.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, completely respect your commentary around that. However, I'm in agreement with Dave. I think we have three very strong candidates, and I'd be willing to test a recommendation that we approve three councillors on the working group.
So I'll go to Tommy and then Robbie. Yeah, actually, were you moving that?
Yeah, I'm willing to move and test the recommendation that we appoint three councillors to the working group, and I do that with a full understanding that absolutely we're all going to have a say in the matter, but I just think that we've got three quite different sets of skills there, and I think why not use them? But I guess that's my take. With the understanding that if diaries didn't align and only two could attend a particular meeting, I don't see that as being a problem.
And so we've got a motion to pull through. I'm just going to see if I get a second for that motion, I guess. Yeah.
I'll second it.
Second for that motion.
I do need to ask the question, sorry, point of clarification. Are the three candidates who are mentioned, are we allowed to vote?
Yeah.
And if this failed, and it comes down to the named individuals, are we still able to vote at that? And if it came down to votes for the three individuals, we'd still be able to vote for ourselves and each other?
That's my understanding, that's correct.
Yes, Madam Mayor, similar to any appointments, you vote on committee meetings.
Thank you.
Yeah. Robbie, did you have a question? We've got a motion made and seconded, I haven't put that yet, so have you got a clarifying question?
Probably given my opening question around this whole subject, might advise you that. But I would actually speak against that. Now I've got the head understanding of what the group is doing and some of the sensitivities, for keeping the relationship, going forward. I think I would still prefer to see two, whether or not we did it by the various methods we've got, long straw, short straw, but we've got different ways of choosing between animal numbers, but I think I've looped back around to first option.
So.
Yes, Madam Chair, no,
And Steve, sorry.
I speak in it, my understanding is this is simply a working group.
Great.
And so we just simply do our homework with the peoples involved, find our middle ground and then report back to council and council makes final decisions. Is that my total understanding? Thank you, just for that clarity for the room, I appreciate it, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Steve.
Yeah, this would just be an observation just through the chair in relation to expanding the group size of the working group. It would be my view that that would not be the best way forward in terms of developing relationships and trying to develop progress in an area which is a very significant piece of work that will come back to council for us to discuss in depth and to critique in depth. So I would not be in favour of expanding the size of the group based on those reasons.
Just a question of clarification, if I could, because if the Runanga have determined two as a right size for them, if we were to change it, they should have an opportunity to agree to an increased number, I would think, rather than us just making a motion. But I think I agree. The whole point of this is that this is coming back to the working group. So some of the questions and ideas that might come up can be fed back to that group as well for them to take note of. It's not just a one-way street coming out to here. We have the opportunity through the council to say, have you thought about this connection? Or even they as a group may even make contact with people who can help them further if they've got the connections to do so.
Yeah, I mean, that could happen, from the head here, on an informal, if someone had a bright idea on a Tuesday night, you might talk to Graham or either one of the elected member representation to say, have you thought about that in regard to that? And, you know, like it just feeds into and feeds back out of that discussion. So I think that we're possibly overthinking this somewhere. Have I got some other questions coming? Anybody else? Oh, sorry, Hamish.
This group is essentially a consultation group to make sure that we are keeping the Runanga up to speed with what our intentions are and to hear their perspective. If we have an intention to do something, to hear their perspective and bring it back to council. It's not doing the numbers on a development. It's simply a discussion about we're thinking about doing this, what's your views on it, and then feed that back in. So we need to be careful that we don't overblow it.
Okay, so just further clarification from that, if I could. When we say what we might be doing, the whole of council would be a part of any workup ideas on there for development or that type of thing, and then this is the group that acts between the council and the Runanga. And I think that's a really good clarification on why we may only need two, because if we've got the skill set that Chris has got would be utilised around the council table when we were drawing up our plans.
And I'd like
I
to
think
see
that's
those
a good
questions in a
clarification.
wider forum, to be fair.
Yeah. So I'd be happy to stick to.
Okay, so we're just debating the merits on the recommendation that we've got in front of us, okay?
So for clarification, I was under thinking that this working group was just not, one of the reasons was just not to keep the Ngāti Karura informed, isn't it? Testing out or looking at the plan or what's coming from the executive, so it's reluctantly trying to think so the council can get a better decision coming back to us here. So I just can't see why you're wanting to limit it to two where you could have three good people doing it. So you're getting a better decision coming here. It just doesn't make sense to me. But so I'm just clarifying that it is an intermediary between executive and council too. And that to me is a very important part of the puzzle. And I just thought you were diluting that. Am I, Hamish, I'm not through the chair, am I wrong on that?
So it's not as, it's a governance to governance relationship between Te Runanga o Kaikoura and Huronui District Council, looking specifically at the South Block. And it's looking at development plans that Huronui District Council have developed or is thinking of developing, and making sure that we're getting early input from the Runanga on those plans. So it's a discussion group. It's not, it doesn't, it's a group that engages. It's not a decision-making body. Doesn't, well, in my view, you know, it can be, the lineup can be kept briefly short.
So, what I intend to do is, put that motion, the motion that the council appoint 3 councillors to the working group. And so if you support that motion, obviously go for it, against, and then we could, if it succeeded, that's fine. If it failed in this instance, we could just get a secondary motion to appoint another number, a different one. So, is that correct now? Okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. Are we all clear? Comment?
Yeah, thank you. Look, I was just wanting to clarify just what you spoke on there, that a secondary should this fail, a secondary motion that just changed the number would be acceptable.
What you just heard?
Yep, just wanted to make sure, yeah.
Okay, so we have an active recommendation that council appoint 3 councillors to the working group. All those that agree, please raise your hand. This is your hand up.
Yeah.
So that's 4. Those against that recommendation, please raise your hand.
Councillor Carthy, was your hand up?
My hand, not for this, I voted for.
1. 6. Yes, so that motion has failed. I'm now looking for a secondary motion.
So, Madam Mayor.
Oh,
So-
what do I need to do?
I'm not sure I recorded that right. So we had 4, or was it 5, 4?
4.
And 6 against, it's only 10.
What can I do?
I think we missed someone.
I think I might have been late.
So can we just clarify, it was 4 voting?
Who voted for that motion? Hands right up, please, and we can read them.
So it's 4. So it must have been 7 against, unless there was an abstention.
Okay, so those, that can you raise your hand if you voted against that motion? So the motion is lost. Thank you. So now I'm looking for a further recommendation that council appoints 2, an alternate number. Thank you. Sorry, a question. Maybe I'll go to Robbie first. He's always been second. Robbie, question, then Pauline.
No, I was going to go and move the officers, the original officers' recommendation of 2.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I'll take that. I'll just get a second report in a minute. Pauline, have you got a question?
Yes, I do have a question, a clarification, thank you. So with the recommendation that has just been moved, is that purely about the numbers, and will there be a subsequent motion for the names?
I think we probably should decide on 2 and then we'll get a motion for the names. Yeah, okay, so we have Robbie's motion, and I need a seconder to that. Thank you, Chris Scarlett. Thank you. Any further discussion on that? All in agreement to that, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. Thank you. So now what I'm looking for, councillors, is a recommendation for 2 councillors to be appointed to that working group. I'm going to be bold. Sorry? Oh, no, what have I done wrong?
Madam Mayor, so there is a process for appointing members to
Okay,
committees, working groups, etc.
Yep.
So you call for nominations, then
Oh,
we vote on it.
right, okay.
And then the council actually has to decide which voting system to use.
Oh.
You'll be all familiar with this.
I bet you wish you just voted for 3 now. We'll just listen intently to Graham, please, because
So
this is the
there's-
process.
There's 2 systems. One is where you have multiple rounds of voting until a candidate has a majority of the votes. So you would all vote and someone has to get 6 votes to be appointed. So if nobody, so we've got 11. So if nobody gets a majority, then the bottom place candidate drops off. And then in this case, those 2 would be effective because one just drops off. So, the other way to do it is just a simple majority. You would all just vote, and whoever the 2 highest polling would be elected.
So effectively result the same things. In this case,
Yes.
with 3 candidates.
Yep.
My suggestion is that we take the easiest.
They'll simply be calling for who you have 1 vote and you vote for whichever candidate. Well, you could each have 2 votes because you're voting for 2, and then the 2 with the most number of votes. If there's a tie, it'll probably be a lot.
Okay.
And members can self-nominate.
Yes.
So
And vote for themselves.
if anybody wants to nominate themselves, you can self-nominate and you can vote.
Right, so am I now, so have I decided which process we're going to use?
No, that's up to the council now.
Okay, radio, is that option A and option B?
Sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head.
Option B, the simple one.
Simple majority.
Option, simple, okay, so we're opting for option which provides for a simple majority. Is that enough?
Recommending that, Madam Mayor,
Oh,
and
okay.
asking the council for someone to second it.
Yeah, okay. I knew that Graham would put the right words in. So the recommendation is that we work for a process that would provide us with a simple majority. I'm happy to move that. I have a second. Fiona, all of them, that please say aye. Against? Motion carried. Thank you. So we've got a process. Now I'm seeking nominations.
Sorry, as part of that, I mean, we've just passed that. I did put my hand up, but don't we also need to agree or resolve that if there's a tie, it would be decided by coin or lot?
Yes, sorry, Madam Mayor, that is correct, yes.
Okay.
Sorry, should have-
Can we?
One of the council.
Mover and seconder, happy to move that
Yep.
just for clarity if there is a tie. Are you all comfortable? We've just voted on that, but are you all comfortable that that makes sense?
Yes, no call.
That was gonna be my next question. Who's got a coin?
Steve, you should have brought that sucker out earlier. Are we at nomination stage? Yes, I am at nomination stage. I'm happy to receive nominations. Councillors?
I'd like to nominate Tom Davies.
I'm happy to receive that. Do I have a seconder for Tom? Thank you, Steve. Any further nominations?
So.
Thank you. Seconder. Two nominations.
I'd like to nominate Chris Carthy.
Chris, are you happy to receive that, Chris?
No, I'll step aside. Yeah. Thank you. I did step aside. Pardon?
Is there any further nominations? So I will close the nominations. Yeah. And declare that we didn't need to go to the vote, that we have 2 representatives that will sit on the South Block Working Group, and congratulate Tom and Brett for fulfilling those roles. Chris, I also want to acknowledge your discussion, and I think that we will value your input when the papers come back to a full council meeting. So thank you very much for allowing us to have that discussion. Congratulations to the two members. Thank you. If I can have that noted about what just referring to it, that's important. Okay, it's now just gone midday, and oh, sorry, have we completed that whole thing? Yes, we have. I think now you can leave the table, bro.
My apologies should be what I thought was a super vote.
5-minute one as well, but that's okay.
I hope every meeting's not gonna be like that, right? Otherwise I'm resigning.
Okay, can I bring you back, councillors? We are looking to go into public excluded at 12:15, so I'm just wondering how we can manage this. So perhaps, Graham, would you be comfortable if we look at the two information items, the Lagoima and the open agenda for the polls? We accept those two and then go into public excluded, and then we will continue to be in public excluded when we come back at 1 o'clock, when we receive Sarah's report, or the report of the general manager, I should say, for the polls. And we will continue to do all the public excluded items. Happy? We will continue to do the public excluded items and then come back and complete the open agenda. But bearing in mind, we've got, we want to be finished by about 2:30. We've got an important celebration beginning at 3 o'clock. So you'll just have to bear with us with that. So with that, I'm going to ask you to turn to page 120, which is the, Graham, this is your paper around the Lagoima. Can I ask you to speak to that, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is just the regular update on one of the requests received over the last period. We're on track with most of them. There's two in progress which are still being responded to. The number 10 is actually quite a substantial request, so we're trying to refine that down. It's a very broad one. One comment I will make is over the last couple of months, there have been 2 or 3 quite big requests around financial rating information, which we requested extension for because of the pressure on the finance team getting that information. So they've all been tidied up now and responded to them. Everyone was happy with those responses. So I think we're relatively back on track. Questions.
Great, thank you. Questions, I've got Brett and then Pauline. Thank you. Thanks, Brett.
Through the chair, just want to go down to number 9, East Reserve. Does it relate to Village Green?
Yeah.
And is it an ongoing, is this a result of previous requests? Is it an ongoing one?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Yes, it's around the use of development contributions.
Thank you.
Right, and Pauline.
I was going to ask for elaboration on point number 9, but that's been answered. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Excellent, thank you. Sorry, Chris.
Sorry,
Question?
Madam Chair, just a quick thing. Column 5, reference to individuals were redacted. That was just the public, not the councillors. Is that correct?
Through you, Madam Chair. Yes, that's in the recording where individuals were named.
Yes.
We've muted those out.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any further questions in regard to the monthly Lagoima request? That being the case, is someone happy to move that we receive that information? Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Pauline. All in agreement to that, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? That motion's carried. Thank you. And perhaps just turning to page 122, the open agenda item for the Hammer Springs Thermal Formal Spa Management Committee update. I think it's fairly well explanatory. If there are any members of the Pools Committee that would like to pass comment, Vince, Tom or Brett, anything there that of note that you want to include in the report? Are you comfortable? Comfortable, Vince? Comfortable? With that being the case, would someone like to move that we accept that information? Thank you, Tom. Second, thank you, Brett. All in agreement to that, please say aye. Carried, thank you. Radio councillors, if I may ask you to turn to your public excluded section of your agenda. And there are noted reasons for passing the resolution in relation to each of the matters that we will attend to today. I fully support those reasons, and so I'm seeking your support for a motion for us to go into public excluded so we can discuss those matters. Thank you, Fiona. Do I have a seconder? And Chris, all in agreement to that, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? That motion's carried. Thank you. So just if we can have a wee moment, please, while so councillors, we're now back in open agenda, and I'll just take you back to page 50 in your agenda pack, which is our fees and charges, which we need to do today because this is about to go out for consultation. And just for clarity, the information item for the financial report will now be in your agenda pack for next week. Next week's agenda, which is the 7th, okay? So that will lay on the table for next week as well. Do we need that in where second that?
Actually, probably just
Okay.
trying.
Okay. So I'll move that the financial report 7.1 of today's agenda, and also the public excluded, do you want to do those as well? 8.4 and 8.5 lay on the table to the next council meeting of 7th of April. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Fiona. All in agreement to that, please say aye. Aye. That's carried. Thank you. Okay, who's doing this?
Aye.
Oh, you are. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mayor. So fees and charges, every year we review our fees and charges. Some of our fees and charges, statutory fees and charges, and any revision of them is required to go through a special consultative procedure under the Local Government Act. And some of these charges are statutory charges. So for completeness, we will put all the fees and charge changes through the statutory consultation procedure. You've got a list of the changed fees and charges here. The ones that are not changed are not shown here. So it doesn't say that in the paper, but that is the case. So these are only the ones that change. Some of them are escalated certainly by an inflation factor. Some of them have been reworked because of where they sat previously. And there are a few actual new fees and charges as well, particularly page 56 for the small standalone dwelling exemptions, the land inflation, those two I think are probably the new ones. And I would be negligent if I didn't point out the Queen Mary Hospital Historic Reserve charges on page 63. I'll bring this to your attention because we had significant pushback on increasing these fees last time around. And also there's a small error in there, those I can see, sorry, it's simply that that one fee, which was $1,000 a day, moving to $2,000 a day, and this is for ticketed events, 1 to 5,000 people. And this is the very fee that we had a big pushback on last time. But in order to recover the wear and tear on the reserve, et cetera, $1,000 does not cut the mustard. So one event that happens on that reserve on an annual basis. And they did organise significant pushback last time, but that is where it sits. We need to recover our costs for the users.
You have a question on that one?
I do, thank you, Madam Chair, to the CEO. With respect to this, I'm assuming it's Carter Consultants, but the thing is that I'm thinking about is we had 100% margin increase on that. We don't take care of their rubbish or anything like that, do we? Part of their consent would be they clean up the rubbish, remove their debris and their things.
Yes.
So this is more about returning the land back to its needed place.
I mean, the event that happens there is the Hamner Springs fete. And depending on the weather conditions, they can do considerable damage to the land. So they do pay for extra mowing, etc. beforehand. So they do contribute. It's fast, resulting in significant damage to the land. So,
yeah, makes sense.
Thank you. I believe the ratepayer should be picking up the cost.
Okay, thank you.
And the likelihood, just probably for new councillors, the likelihood of receiving submissions on this, and the submission process will come to full council. You will get to read all the submissions, you'll get to hear from some submitters, and then you'll manage the weighting of what you hear and what you read on the final decision. So this is a consultative process. Okay. Thanks, Chris. So Dave and then Pauline. Thank you.
So it's through Hamish, last weekend's banquet or concert up at Hamner Springs and Domain, does that come under reserve too? They would have $5,000 fee for that, was that?
No, this is for the Domain, which is separate from the Queen Mary Heritage Reserve. So it's under its own separate fee.
So just for example, what would they pay? All these big car shows. Because that could be a similar type of, what would they, just as a comparison, what would they pay? How much?
Good.
Just above here, it's got, reserves, 2,000 plus people, 300. On that same page.
Oh, thank you. So we're on page 63, under reserves.
So I'm having trouble finding the agenda, it's gone on the laptop again. So you're saying on the reserves, the fate pays $5,000?
No, we're looking for the fate for 1,000 to 5,000 people, it would be $2,000.
2,000, and so that concert they had on Sunday, but which would have had Tom 3,000 people, 5,000.
Yeah, but that's the Domain, it's not the hospital reserve.
I get that, but they're both Domain and
Yeah, the Domain's 309 is the proposal.
it seems a big difference in price. What? 300 to 2,000, one's out of whack with each other.
The Domain is a local reserve,
So we don't set their fees, they set.
the local amenity reserve.
Yes.
And so the Hamner Springs Community Board sets the fee for its use. Queen Mary Hospital Heritage Site is a district reserve, and therefore it's a council fee.
I'm just now seeing why there's pushback from some if they could use the Domain versus that, but
They're quite a different amenity setting.
Can I just ask about, so just looking at the very where the fate is held, to get a difference in our mind from what Dave was highlighting. Like the majority of the trees would be protected trees, so arborist report on all those trees, that if there is trimming or whatever requirements to be made, that would be a cost that would be borne by council ahead of or post a large scale event.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. The day before the fete, we had $600 removing a tree that was being caught in the wind.
Right, yeah, so there are costs that we can't always predict that might be in preparation to have the grounds looking, you know.
I think that if you're talking about a historic reserve with all the amenity and all the values of a historic reserve versus a domain.
Yeah.
And so that's the explanation of the price difference.
Yeah. So it just helps us get it.
So to maintain the domain is considerably less than maintaining the Queen Mary Historic Reserve.
Thank you. That probably answers some of Dave's questions maybe. I'm not sure where I've got to, but I'll go with these things down the end here and see where I get to. I'll come back to you, Robbie, Fiona and Pauline.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, I agree that those reserves need to cover the costs themselves, because we have a number of reserves around the district that are district funded, and we need to recover the costs. So it's going out for consultation. I'm prepared to put that forward. I think we should as the starting point, start of 10. And if somebody can bring up a very valid argument on why, it's only commercial events, I think, isn't it? Yes. Then we can look at adjusting it. But first and foremost, if it's a commercial event, it should be covering the costs of the use of the domain. No ifs or buts.
So testing the market through this process. Yeah, that's cool. Thanks, Fiona. We'll just get these questions and see where it lands. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. I was going to move on from the Queen Mary, but if Robbie's still on that topic, then yeah, okay. I have a couple of things, and I've got about 10 minutes. It's not going to take me 10 minutes, I'm sure. Firstly, sorry, the chair, Hamish, you said that any fees and charges that aren't proposed to be changed are not in here, which is, however, we will be consulting on them. So, I mean, it's kind of tricky for us to accept the charges in Appendix 1 and know that there are other charges that aren't in front of us. That's just a comment.
They are unchanged. Yeah, I appreciate that's what highlighted it.
Yeah.
But they are unchanged from when you said last time.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so the fees and charges that fit within the Southwood Community Board delegations came to the Southwood Community Board on the 6th of November. And there was some discussion at that meeting about some wording, and I'll go into that in a moment, but also we asked that an officer bring back further information on individual hire conditions, and yet we haven't had anything come back. And I noticed that with the changes that are in this document, the changes that we discussed actually haven't been picked up. And also that there are no notes in relation to the Southwood Community Board. So can I just go over a couple of things?
Can you just tell us what page you're on?
Well, I'm going to be all over the show here, but so page, bear with me, page, this wasn't in that meeting, but anyway, we haven't had it back. Page 60, so the Leithfield Beach Community Hall, there is the hall hire there for non-beach residents, but there is no longer a line there for the beach residents, which is in the information that came to the Southwood Community Board. So I'll just leave that there. And then on page 61, we had quite a bit of discussion around the wording and the references underneath, the footnotes underneath the hall hire. And we talked about that wording, and Hamish, at the time, the minutes say that you acknowledged the wording issues and committed to working on that section, but that hasn't been changed. So we had asked, firstly, that on the footnote, page 61, number 3, a minimum charge of 1 day applies. The Southwood Community Board, along with myself, felt that that would be really prohibitive, not only to halls in the Southwood, but all over the district, and that we have a number of halls that are hired on an hourly basis. So within the fees and charges, we have hourly rates, but then in the footnotes, we have a minimum charge of 1 day applies.
Yeah, note 3 applies to the Harden Hall. Nothing to do with
Sorry, I'm looking at the footnotes on the bottom.
on page 61.
No, yes, but how do we know that that applies to the Harden
If you
Hall?
have a look at Harden Hall, it's got
No, no,
3
no.
and 4 beside it.
No, I'm in point number 3, which is relating to all of the,
No, the footnotes relate to the numbers. So numbers 3 and 4 relate to Harden, number 5 relates to Wyo, 6 and 8 relate to Waikari. There is no footnotes relate to.
how do we know what they relate to? Sue?
Pavilions, footnote 1, pavilion kitchen hire social function and the kitchen hire maximum both relate to that. The way that it reads is if the footnote relates to it, it's got the number beside it in brackets, quite conventional. And so those footnotes apply to those particular
I see.
hires.
Okay, so will that be clear? If it wasn't clear to the Southwood Community Board and it wasn't clear to me, will that be clear to constituents who are wanting to make submissions, do you think?
This is the conventional way that we've done this for a number of years now, and I know the Southwood Community Board got very confused and they were all Twitter with it, but that was possibly that they were just new to the layout and didn't understand it.
Yeah, with all due respect, we did discuss it and you did commit to the wording changes, but you were looking at the wording
So
and
there's no wording changes necessary because those things did not apply to the South Ward.
okay. So then, can I just go to footnote number 2 then? So,
Page.
yep, so that relates,
Which page?
sorry, page 61.
Yep.
So that relates to which property?
Hamner Springs Hall. It's the one with the number 2 beside it on page 59.
Okay, cool. Yep, no, that's cool. So then can I go to, thanks for explaining that, because I was misreading that. Can I go please to page 63 and back into reserves? Above, in the information that I've seen, above the Queen Mary T Heritage Reserve, there was a reserve revocation and an easement charge, but they seem to have disappeared.
So if the charges are unchanged, they don't appear here.
Okay, so
The changes that are shown here.
So
yeah, I understand that, but it's part of the section of, you know, that we were referring to. So it would appear that it should still be there. It looks like it's kind of disappeared, I guess, is what I'm saying. But okay, that's fine. So then page 67, which is, I'm looking at swimming pools.
Yep.
So, and I understand the changes here have been kept the same for 3 years and small increases have been applied in regards to Amberley, the main power Amberley swimming pool, but that's actually never been discussed at the Southwood Community Board level. And I am assuming then that because the child concession doesn't appear and the season passes don't appear and the additional lifeguard swim nappy and credit card surcharges don't appear, that they're not being changed.
Correct.
Right, okay. So it, potentially, I know you highlighted at the beginning, but it's kind of difficult to work between two, because actually that's what I've done. I've worked between 2 documents. So I guess just for the future, it would be a lot more readable and easy if we had the changes and not changes in there as well.
I note your point.
Thank you.
Okie dokie. Any other questions? Oh, Robbie, sorry. Sorry, you can go.
Choose two, which is unusual, but page 63, going back to Queen Mary, the $2,000 a day, is that a charge or a bond?
Charge.
It is, so that's factored whether it's workable or not. I was just trying to, the lower it's just about the final funding, it says number one, and I just couldn't find number one. But that's okay, but no, the other one I want to bring back to was on page 55, the obvious one, talking to the dog control man the other day, runs around the ute, $1.17, it's just not going to cut it anymore. Very reputable company, it's been charging $1.85, it's just got a national email saying $2.13 it should be. So that's what we want to look at that for obvious reasons.
Which particular are the?
Page 55 down in the animal control.
Travel
That's
charge.
the only company I want to come across, but I thought we were going to come around to you.
So these are based on IND rates, and that's what we always do.
Yeah.
Struggle to justify it.
All right, so I mean, I think we understand the intent of, Robbie, and I guess that, you know, it is sort of hard to find the sweet spot moments, isn't it, really? Look, we've had some discussion about some of the explanations around the consultation document, and so if you're satisfied with that and the statement of proposal, and which is appendix 2, is there someone willing to move that we accept the proposed fees and charges as detailed and adopt the statement of proposal? Chris, are you happy to do that?
Yes.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Fiona, thank you. Anybody like to speak for or against that motion? Put that motion then, all in agreement, please say aye. Aye. Those against, any abstentions, that motion is carried, thank you. Radio team, we have now come to the end of our agenda, and we have got a resolution in place to receive the financial report and the 2 items in public excluded for next Tuesday, the 7th of June. With that, thank you, team, for the discussion that we've had today and the decisions that we've made. You know, these things are never easy, so we thank you for your contributions. So I'm going to close and ask that we ready to go. You've got a job to do. So we can at 3 p.m. Thank you.